Hello and welcome to today's Porton University on how to set up Google Product Listing Ads creating a product feed. Today we'll be walking through how to create a product feed from scratch to be uploaded into the Google Merchant Center so that you could run product listing ads through Google AdWords. My name is Elizabeth Marston. I am the Director of Search Marketing at Porton, and I like to dabble in PPC quite a bit, and so we'll be diving into this today, and then we'll also have additional videos on how to set up a Merchant Center account and how to set up an AdWords account for product listing ads. So some of the things that you're going to need to complete today's exercise is obviously a product feed, which we'll go ahead and we'll make that for you, but this is an example of what one would look like when it is finished. You're going to need a Google Merchant Center account eventually. You don't have to have one today, but this is the kind of thing that you would want to sign up for, or get a Google account that would be associated with one. And we'll go, when I go into the video for Google Merchant Centers, we'll go over how to start one of these from scratch. And then just kind of the materials that we're going to need for today. So you can have an Excel or a Google spreadsheet in order to do it. The Merchant Center does allow you to upload Google spreadsheets for product feeds, but for the purposes of today, we're just going to use Excel to keep it kind of nice and simple. You'll need web access, a list of your products. In this case, we're only going to use a couple of products targeted to the USA to keep it simple, and they're going to be ebooks. And then, of course, the Merchant Center account help center. So there's going to be a couple of articles that I point to directly for the purposes of today. These links will all be available at the end of this program in a Bitly bundle where you can go in and grab them, including a copy of the finished feed that we worked through on the video here today. Another thing that you might want to take a look at before you get started is research your cart capabilities. So your cart actually might have the ability to export a list of your products now, or the catalog with a lot of the attributes that we're going to cover today. It might not be all of them, might be some of them, you might even have more in here than is offered. You might actually also be able to submit your feed directly to Google via their API in the Merchant Center, which means that you could actually schedule when it goes, whether it's every day or every week, every month. You want to make sure that you're able to edit that feed or the submissions that are being sent to Google, because we're going to go into some additional attributes that are unique to AdWords that you could be utilizing. And then in order to do the export of the product catalog, you might have the functionality right now, but you could look into any plugins, extensions, or possible support through your shopping carts help center, or through maybe a developer that you're working with or somebody at the shopping cart that could help you export your catalog, so it could save you a little bit of work here in the future. So getting started, we're actually going to exit our PowerPoint here and go into the live interface on the web. So first things first, we're going to take a look at is the Google Merchant Center article on product feed specifications. So there are several attributes that are required for a product feed in order to be accepted and uploaded. First thing first, we have our basic product information, so an ID, which is a number that you can assign to the item. It could be 1, 2, 3, maybe it's you SKU internally. Your title of the item, description, your Google product category, which we will dive into on how to take apart their taxonomy and categorize your products, your product type, which we will also go into, the link to the product, the image link, or link to the image to the product, additional image link if you have any, and then of course the condition. The other thing that we'll also do as required is the availability and the price, and unique product identifiers, which we'll also get into. You have to have 2 out of the 3 that are listed here, either the brand, the GTIN, or the MPN. The GTIN is something that's more assigned, like a UPC or an ISBN number. So if you sell books, you would have an ISBN number to upload here. If you're like us today, in the case of our example, it's an ebook that I wrote, so my manufacturer part number is assigned internally. Apparel products, which we won't be going into today, but if you do sell apparel, there are considerably more attributes that are required, including gender, age group, color, as well as product variants. Maybe could be less than, it's not apparel and accessories, but maybe you sell like iPod cases or something like that, and you want to differentiate the pink glitter one from the blue glitter one from the green glitter one. And then tax and shipping is another thing that we're actually not going to put into our hand-built feed today. Tax and shipping is best handled and easiest handled within the Merchant Center. So when I go into a separate video on how to set up the Merchant Center account, there is a section called the tax and shipping section, and we'll walk through how to enter in your tax rate and your shipping information so that you don't have to add it additionally into the feed. The only reason that you would want to generate it within the feed is if you have a wide varying of tax rates and shipping information. So if you have, in my case, you have products that are, under £1, then you can use the same shipping rate for everything. That's much easier than if you were to have multiple products that weigh anywhere from 5 pounds to 500 pounds. And then the AdWords attributes. We'll be walking through these as well. We'll be looking at the grouping, labels, and actually one that's not listed here, which is the publish attribute. So let us open our feed. So this feed is one that I've created for the purposes of today, just for the sake of example. The ID numbers, as I was talking about, are my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as those are assigned internally. I've decided to use the MPN number, the manufacturer part number, because it's something that I wrote, and it doesn't have an assigned number. So out of the 2 of the 3, I can't use the GTIN one, but I can use brand. So I'm using brand, and MPN as my unique product identifier, so we are covered there. The product that I'm going to add to my feed right now is my other ebook, which is PPC for Small Businesses. Okay, so we have our title in there. Titles can be up to 70 characters or less. Oftentimes it doesn't show all 70 characters, so you do want to keep your titles pretty tight and concise. Same with the description. The description can actually be up to 10,000 characters. Google recommends that don't exceed 500, but since you still don't even show up to 500, I recommend that you keep it pretty concise here as well. So in this case, we're just going to go ahead and grab part of the description from the website. Okay, and it's not the best description. I do recommend rewriting it a little bit just so that you have your most important information up front. Things that you do want to keep in mind when you're writing your titles and description is you don't want to put in promotional information like free shipping or on sale now, exclamation points. You want to make sure that you stick to the basics as much as possible. Be a very clean title, very descriptive description, so that when people look at it and they see it, they want to click through. Now, Google product category. This in particular is one of the most important attributes that you can use with the Google product feed, is to tell Google exactly within their taxonomy where your product belongs. So in this case, we're going to use the second help article that I mentioned, which is their product taxonomy. Now, as you notice at the top level, it's pretty basic, but we're going to want to dive in as much as possible. So we're going to go into the media section, and we're going to go into books, nonfiction. And as you can see, there actually isn't a category for what my product is. It's marketing, it's paid search. We're going to get as close as we can get. In this case, we're going to go ahead and pick computer books, just for the sake of argument for today. So in this case, on the first product, I actually picked self-help books because I was being cheeky. So we're going to put in computer books. And you want to follow the taxonomy exactly, and you want to use the characters, and you want to use the spacing and everything is exactly as Google has laid it out. Now the product type is a little bit different. That is a taxonomy that you can put in as on your own. It should reflect somewhat the nature of the structure of your site. It should mimic the Google product category but not duplicate it. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to use it to tell Google a little bit more about categories that they don't have. So in this case, we're using marketing as a category and additionally paid search. We're sending signals to Google that say, by the way, you are missing these categories, and these are relevant categories for my item. We already know what the brand is. That's important. The price is $23. Condition is new. And when you're putting in the prices, don't put in dollar signs. Let that Google, they'll read the attribute. They'll put the dollar sign in for you. Let's grab the URL. We know, and we're going to remove that hyperlink for now. The item is in stock. Image link, I'm going to come back here and we're going to right click and copy the image URL. Now we're going to get into the AdWords labels. So in this case, we're actually going to have the attribute, but because we're not going to utilize it, we can stay in there and it can stay blank at this time. Grouping is not something we need to get as in depth with right now. Labels will allow us to label the different, it holds multiple values, but in this case we want to be able to label it PPC, SEO, social. Let's say I have multiple categories of ebooks that I'm going to be bidding on in my AdWords campaigns later for product listing ads, and I want to be able to segment out the different types of books that I have. So this is a good place to do this. So I'm just going to go ahead and just say PPC for now. This AdWords column for publish, this means that true, I'm telling Google that I want them to publish this particular product on Google Shopping so that I can do product listing ads for it. If I were to put false in that category, then it wouldn't show. This is just good for those folks that don't have a lot of time to futz around with their feeds. Let's say they have some products that are under $5 and they just want to go ahead and sort their feed and then find those $5 products and just put false in there instead of having to remove them line by line. This is a great way to control either products that you don't want to bid on that are either too low or too high. Okay, so this is what a finished feed looks like. But we have one last step, which is we have to save it in a different format. We are going to save it in a TXT or tabbed and limited. And it's going to tell me all kinds of things that it doesn't support multiple sheets. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. And then we're going to close it, and it's going to ask if you're sure. And we say, yeah, it's fine. And then we come back out here, and it's here as our TXT, and there it all is as our finished feed. And what we can do later is we'll take this and we are going to upload it to our Merchant Center account. And once we get there, it'll be able to go through and be processed, and it'll let us know if we have any errors. And then we can go back and change anything if we need to be errors. So in our second video, when we go through Merchant Center account, how to set one up, we'll go through how to process and troubleshoot errors as well. Okay, and that is all you need to know to get started right away with a Google Shopping or with a product feed for Google Shopping. I have a bit.ly bundle here with the links that we used today for the 2 Google Help articles, and I'll also upload the template that I made today through the video. And then, of course, if you have any additional questions or want to research for Google Shopping or product listing ads, you can catch us on our blog at www.portent.com/blog. Again, my name is Elizabeth Marston, and I am the Director of Search for Portent Inc., and thank you for joining me today.